Okay, so a while ago, there was a show. There was a really good show where a financial expert, she's a writer, she really knows the stuff. This was filmed in Canada, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I will link up the exact specific episode that I'm making reference to in the description box below. So I better remember to link that up in the description box below. And this couple was pretty much buried in DEBT, the rabbit hole of DEBT. And the lady, the expert, was trying her best to convey specific steps, specific knowledge, specific numbers, their own numbers, and to be as helpful as can be. And what did she meet up with? What, in my opinion, and I watched that show a lot, I watched the reruns a lot. And I never saw this specific rerun. For some reason, it never came up until I saw it recently. And I have to say, if I could ever hand an award to a couple that was in trouble seeking help, they win the award for belligerence. Yeah, they just didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to have it. The word but was used more often than not. And now I understand why the title of that episode is couple stops trying to pay debt, quote, end of quote, butting heads, Butting. Every little suggestion, yeah, but pointing out specific items of problems, numbers. I mean, this lady, the expert, she knows what she's talking about. She's nobody's fool. In fact, they called her. She didn't call them. They called her. Can you imagine being a couple in trouble, okay, drowning in the rabbit hole of DEBT, reaching out to a financial whiz, in my opinion, took the time from her life to come over, study their budget, I mean, to the penny, outlined the problem. How nice is that? How many people wish that there was somebody willing to go over their numbers and find the quirks and the irks and the problems and all that? I'm sure there are a lot of listeners out there that would love that. That to me is an extreme luxury, in my honest. And not so much. The husband was kind of neutral. I guess he was trying to play it quietly in between his wife and the financial expert. But I could tell you this, the wife of that couple, in my opinion, everything was but the financial expert is there pointing the whole thing out and stating the reasons, the actual and the steps to take to make things happen. So I'm not going to tell you the whole thing, but I have to say I wasn't surprised at the outcome because the goal is to get out of debt, to learn the steps. But here's my but with this, okay? Change will not happen without this. That's the title here. Change will not happen without this. What do you think that this would be? That this would be the willingness and the open mind to make a change. Has this ever happened to you? And yes, the bird clock. And I don't change the bird clock because I think it's cute, even if he does interrupt my show almost every time. Oh, anyway, it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I cannot believe this couple. I just, as I recorded, 6 o'clock in the morning, not 6 o'clock necessarily when you're listening to this. It's 6 o'clock in the morning the previous week. All right. So I digress. If a person is not willing to change, here are the, I would call them symptoms of folks not willing to change. Yeah, 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 yeah. They're listening. They're going, yeah, yeah, yeah. But, if you have a conversation, and actually, Dr. Phil McGraw said this. I know I often refer to him, but he makes a lot of sense. He says, a statement is not true when a person says XYZ, GHI, whatever, but you could dismiss everything before the word but. Once the word but is said, dismiss the whole thing. That person didn't mean anything about A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on and so forth. And it's true. So, like the lady, in my opinion, I could be wrong. This was my interpretation. You really might want to take a minute or two to watch this. How did the goal of the show is to help the people get their budget back on track. They're in serious debt, drowning in debt. I mean, to like really bad degrees of debt. She outlines the problem. She outlines the steps to take. The couple has to want to. This couple wanted the reward. Know what the reward is in this case? And this was a few years ago, and $5,000 went a much longer way about 15, 20 years ago than it does right now. Am I right or am I right? That we both agree on. All right. But but in this case, it went further along. So, and of course, it was supposed to go down to debt repayment, right? So let's just say this couple kept resisting, mainly the wife. Okay, resist, 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 and you'll see the outcome, the outcome, the show. They were very, well, yeah. I guess the husband was a little rude too. They were the wife especially, very rude to this lady. I'm like, wow, not even like common decency, forgetting TV, forgetting this, that, or the other, just like person to person. I'm like, wow, this person went out of their way to analyze your problems that you made. Oh, and here's another thing that kind of makes me chuckle. Everything they ate had to be organic. Okay. If organic was so great, why do we still have so many people with so many situations of certain illnesses? If it's so great, since it's so prevalent, so great, and who really knows? Who really knows? Okay. I'm just saying. All right. So, but that's just Jan's opinion. Here's where I have a problem with the couple. The unwillingness, the close-mindedness. Now, she even admitted, the wife admitted, I am reactive. Okay, there are times that, well, be reactive. By the way, speaking of reactive, has anyone ever watched some of these videos on this platform about another platform where they're analyzing and they have reaction channels? Oh my gosh. They like the person hosting the show is reacting to somebody else's reaction on another platform. Wow. I mean, these reactions. I mean, does it get that person or persons anywhere? All right, everybody's going to react. Okay, but do not, this is my opinion. Could throw it out with the gray water, as they say. All right. But my opinion is this: you can't live in a space or a place of constant and chronic reaction. Okay, there are times you got to be proactive. Now, this couple, which really was like, wow, the lady, the wife, admitted she is very not proactive. I wish she was. She was very reactive. Okay. I react to this. I react to, and I'm like, wow, watching the episode, which I am linking down into the description box below. Please check it out so you know that I'm not spewing hot air here. I couldn't believe this couple. I could not believe it. If you watch it and let me know your reaction to that episode in the comments section below. Because, I could talk about it all I want, but you'd have to see this episode to believe it. I saw many of that episodes on that series when it originally aired. I do not remember this one that came up on my feed recently, and I said, okay. Everything was reaction, 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 but not a will. There was no willingness for a good proactivity, and the small amount of steps that they took during this, which was to help them, wasn't to help the financial expert. The financial expert goes home to her merry life, living in a financially sound life. Those two are the ones that have to live with it. They acted like they were doing the financial expert a favor, in my opinion. That's the way I looked at it. This lady's coming over your house, specifying your problems, going through your silly numbers, and you're sitting there reacting. But there were so many buts in that show. I couldn't even believe it. No wonder that person titled, the title of this broadcast, that broadcast. If you will not change, If you are not willing to change, change will not happen without this. Change will not happen without that open mind. Change will not happen without that positivity. Change will not happen without that willingness to try, to do, to even fail. Change will not happen. Well, bad changes could happen, consequentially speaking. Bad changes could happen if you refuse to get out of debt. Really bad changes, like really, really bad changes, beyond the annoyance telephone calls, beyond the annoyance emails or letters. Really, really bad. So change will not happen without this. Are you willing to change? Now, and let's dial it back to the average person listening, the person that is willing to change, the person that does want to try their best. That's why I constantly say and suggest for people to look at their numbers. Don't be afraid of your own numbers. And if you are afraid of your own numbers, that tells me a lot. But approach it gingerly. Have a nice cup of tea. Say, you know what? This is the day. I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm going to look at my numbers because I am bigger. Remember this, you are bigger than those numbers, even if the numbers are big. Let's start over. You are bigger than those numbers, even if the numbers are big. They are numbers. It is fixable. Have to have a plan. Have to have a willingness to change. Have to stop making excuses with the but. Every time people were doing this in this episode, in My Honest, it's like justifying everything, justifying this, justifying that. All right, enough gibberish on my side. I pretty much gave the show away, but not quite. If you watch that show all the way to the end, you will see what I mean. Don't fast forward it to the end. Watch the episode so you can understand the consequences and the reason why it happened like that, in My Honest. All right. If you're willing to watch it, you'll see exactly what I mean. No amount of explaining from my end could replace the person if they're interested. So take 20 minutes of your life one day and watch that episode, that specific episode. And honestly, I was really shocked. This lady was nice enough and kind enough to help them. And that's how you react? Wow. Wow. In my opinion, that was just downright not right. Downright not right. All right, everybody, have an amazing, fantastic day. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate everybody's time. Don't forget to come back tomorrow, 5 a.m. I upload every single morning at 5 a.m. Yes, I do. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe. Take good care of yourself and your wonderful family. Thank you.